Oh, good. Hello, everyone. We're live tonight, Sunday evening, September 24th, about 7 o'clock. Say hello if you are here. Tommy, can you check the stream on your YouTube? Just do it on your phone or something. Most people start to pop in the room. I always like to check it. No, check the stream. Go to YouTube and see if I'm on YouTube Live, which I should be because it says I'm live. But ever since my Zoom thing went a little wonky, guys, I have to do it a different way, and it's kind of different. But anyways, it all looks good from this side, so I think it's okay. We're gonna wait about another minute. Now let's get some people in here. There we go. We got a few more people in the room. Say hello in the chat if you would. And there we go. That's good, Tommy. Can you hear? Turn up your sound. Oh yeah, then never mind. It's okay. I know it's on. I'm getting feedback. We're good. There we go. Hey guys, if you would, thumbs up if you are here. Say hello to something in the chat, and then we'll get going. I know there's a good game coming on right now on NFL. I'm a big NFL person. I love football. We get a Steelers matchup coming up against the Raiders in Raiders territory. And the Steelers coming off a big win from the Browns last week. Hello, Karen. Hello, Robin. Hello. Thanks all for tuning in. Go Steelers. Booyah. There's go. We got a Steeler fan. That's it. All right. I didn't put a subject down. Well, good, Kate. Yeah, but be sure to say hi in the chat, guys, if you like. And again, we're going to do some questions. If there's some questions a little later, we'll go ahead and answer any questions that you may have. But yeah, I didn't write a subject down when I do the lives, but I have a subject tonight that I kind of want to talk about. The work I do is to realize the human condition, and it's a condition, okay? We have to remember we have a conditioned reality. Our conditioning is separation. So through absolute blindness, we have to wake up and use our own internal awareness and our reflection to help us remember. Take the separation and deconstruct it, because all it is a veil. It's not a permanent condition by any means. So when I'm investigating reality, when I'm doing my work, the one thing that I noticed that is very constant, so I focused on it, is behavior. And what I want you guys to look at, all of your thoughts that are running around in your mind aren't creating. The thought that is willed into reality through behavior is a creating mechanism. A lot of you, a lot of me, a lot of humans fear things. We have fear as part of our conditionings. We're afraid of the unknown. We are uncertain about the future. We have been taught through countless of millenniums about the unknown, about the future, about things that'll come. The doomsdayers and the predictors and the news. And we all have this mechanism of fear that runs around in our mind. And those are thoughts that are creating experiences in your now. They're not creating truths to perceive. They're creating experiences, creating experience of fear in their now. So if you look at that, your behavior is accepting and focusing on these fears. So you're creating a fearful reality that is in law two, which is here and now. So you have to look at wherever you focus is what's creating. Okay? Hello, Dave. So whatever you're focused on is creating. So if you behave in a certain way and you're thinking another way, which one's going to create? The logical, positive, negative thing up here, or the action that forges realities? Well, the behavior is going to create. We have to look at that. The reason why I say this is because you guys are doing it to yourself. I'm doing it to myself. I am not a victim of myself. I have algorithm conditioned truths from the human separation that gave me the experience of behavioral truths that created experiential, matching the behavior realities. I want you to look at that. I really want you to grow up. Emotions are children's work. They're childish things. Look, the human mind is an opposition. Pay attention. The human mind is opposition. If it's not one, it's the other. It's impossible to go outside of that frequency. There cannot be another option, because if you look at the alpha and the omega scale, it is the beginning and it is the end, and everything that exists is within those parameters. So if the human conditioned mind cannot perceive a statement, it's going to assume, calculate its best, let's say, postulate, theory about that, not postulate, theory about how that's going to be. So when I say childish behavior, emotional behavior, positive, negative, childish, emotional behavior, your mind is thinking, well, what else is there? If I don't use my emotions, I won't be sad, but I also won't be happy. Then I'll be this neutral brick, dumber than a box of rocks. Because the human mind thinks is within that, because that's all it knows. Let me say that again. That's all it knows. All you know is the human experience. So the human experience is a conditioning of frequencies that permeate, or have parameters built in to where you cannot perceive beyond those limitations. Because that's the truth of it, and everything experience and polarity you get to have, and you've gotten it. So when you are fearing, you're getting the experience of fear. When you are working, you're getting the experience of work. And when you are purposeful, you're getting the experience of purpose. Your relationship is what's being created. We think we create futures off of ideas. We create futures off of behaviors. You change your behavior. You must change your behavior. And when you recognize your behavior, you have to stop behaving that way if you don't like it. And then that's the belief, or that's the algorithm in place that is attached to a human emotion. It is a good thing I'm doing this, so I'll behave this way. I'm upset, I'm going to get mad, and I deserve to get mad, so I will behave this way. And I'll pour that into my vortex, and I will draw the attraction of those reflections, so I may experience my anger or my need or my hope in its fullest, brightest light possible. Because I'm God. Because I create. Guys, we are creators by nature. We're not thinkers. We're not thinkers by behavior, by nature. We're so busy thinking, but we don't look at our behavior. You're afraid to do something, and you're contemplating in your mind. So the behavior is a fear at that moment. And then your behavior is to contemplate at that moment, because it's systematically always in the now is what you're creating. You're not creating futures. Okay? So you're going through all of these experiences because of your behavior, but you think it has an outcome. You think it makes a difference. It doesn't. It creates nows. So you got to look at the behavior of the action and change that. So if you are afraid of somebody, a person, a family member, They might be offended, or your boss, or something that keeps you thinking about your own behavior. And you have to change that behavior to fit the external validation that is so needed because you have either a responsibility or you have an obligation or you have something of that nature that your mind sells, SELLS. It sells you that truth because you're buying into the truth of the conditioning and you behave that way, which creates reality. So this is why lives don't change. Lives generally stay the same. People fall into a personality and they live that for the rest of their lives. And it's not right or wrong what anybody's doing. That's what they are to themselves. We are way beyond judging. We are way beyond right and wrong. That is for humans. Gods aren't right and wrong. Gods are truth. Since we forgot our truths, we took in and coveted the conditioning truths of humanity, which is separation. Hi, Sally. What did we covet? We coveted fears. We coveted lack. We coveted unworthiness. We coveted less than or victim. We coveted these truths. We put authorities outside of us, above us, for the experience of not being God. That's it. Don't make anything special out of it. Don't try to be a fucking hero and claim you're here for some kind of reason. That's a distraction because there's emotions tied into it. And if you have an emotion tied in with a stance, then you know you're taking a position of an identity, forging it through an emotional shield or an emotional, again, stance. And it says, this is what I am. And we love emotions. We love them because that's all we know. But as I was saying earlier, there is something beyond emotions, I promise you. But you have to stop behaving emotionally to discover it. Because what you put out is what you get back. If you keep putting out your emotional behaviors, forging that into your vortex, creating those realities, how are you going to get a glimpse of other than the same line? A friend of mine said, your future is going to be exactly how it's going to be because one reason and one reason only, because you're God. Your past is because you're God. There's no other reason. Only humans put in reasons of their own conditionings to explain reality, which really doesn't explain it. What's it doing, everyone? If you're paying attention, when you're trying to explain reality, you're actually just creating nows. That's all you're doing. If you're paying attention, look how much drama you're bringing into your life, need or want or desire. Those behaviors, if you are watching yourself behave and you're noticing your emotionals, then you'll see how much input you're putting into these actions. Realities stop being created when you stop behaving that action that creates. It's really not that difficult. It's more than emotional stillness. What is it? Kevin? KVN. I don't know how to pronounce that, Ben. But it's more than emotional stillness. It's no emotions. It's beyond emotions. See, emotions have a beginning and an end, or a positive and negative. Okay, hello, Kevin. So yeah, I missed that one. So positive, and it's not emotional stillness. It's not lack of emotions. It's this different experience with relationship called the unconditional. I used to call it motion. It's the life movement, and it passes through you. And life is always passing through you. It's always moving. And we have these filters, and life comes through us, and we experience it, and we push it back out with our will, with our truth, with our actual vibrational self every moment. So it's always going through us, right? We're always birthing realities, collapsing and birthing realities, reinforcing each other, collapsing each other, birthing you, and you birth me, and the whole thing, right? It's this wonderful idea of creation that's just constantly evolving. So what it is that experience itself without this being the translator. So when you do is you deconstruct this translation mechanism, this veil of humanity that we've placed over our awareness, our interpretation, not our sight, not our sound and our senses, but our interpretation. See, when you interpret something A, you have a mechanism of the mind that gives it the behavior equation that is suitable to your personality, only yours, no one else's. And then, of course, you have that idea, but then your mind might say, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And then you are in between you and your natural behavior. And then your mind's offering all these other choices. And then you are now getting new thoughts of what's the right choice. And then you're left paralyzed because you don't want to make a mistake. And we punish people on this planet for mistakes. We punish each other for that. We have a word called mistake. That's horseshit. Fuck you. There's no such thing as mistakes. Fuck you. That's what I say about getting it wrong. What a way to bring down a person. What a way to darken somebody's light. But that's our society. That's human. I'm not human. I've never been human. I've been a creator my entire existence, my eternity. What I do is express a human incarnation. I'm manifesting it. And when I notice what it is, since I chose to separate, since each and every one of you that are listening to this, any human perspective of separation understands they're not God. And that's the game. That's what we do. So if you're looking at your behaviors, guys, if you're looking at the way you behave, my mind tells me, do this, but then it gives me all these options. And then I change my behavior, which changes my reality, because sometimes those options seem better than the other option I was going to do. See, I was raised to be doubtful. I was raised to question myself. I was absolutely fucking criticized by my family, my brothers, my school people, because I had no spine, because I didn't understand the world. I didn't fit in. I didn't belong, so I was criticized. Much of you guys understand this. I wasn't that person that we all thought people were supposed to be. Parents had expectations. It's not their fault. But I didn't fit, so I was criticized for my actions. And so I took on the posture of always looking at myself and making sure I don't want to get a feedback, negative feedback. It's like you don't want to get fucking zapped every time you do something negative. Well, I got zapped. So I behaved that way. So my mind is going 1,000 different ways, and I don't know where all my choices are. So awakening is to realize you have an internal self that's present, and you have a mind that says you can't behave that internal self because, and it'll list a lot of sensible, reasonable answers why you can't behave that way. And it's based off of fear. It's based off of counterance. It's based off of fucking emotion because that's the only resource it has to get your attention. And since we are fascinated with emotions, our ego gets our attention. But our ego isn't this guy over here who goes, I'm your ego. Oh, you could talk to it. It's not another self. It's you. It's the algorithm truths. It's the coveted truths that you've walked around and reinforced every day. Just because of where you were born and the parents you were born in and whatever that reality taught them, this sponge of a mind empty of anything and then flooding in with all these realities. And then we're all running around, the humans are all up here. I call them topsiders, they're up above. They're not even in themselves. They're up here in the fractal land. Topsiders are just going at it because no one shares the same truth. And that's a problem for some reason. Why can't someone else have a different opinion than you? I was watching this thing on YouTube and it's like this lady had a vegan belt. She goes, yeah, no animal had to die. They didn't put a bullet in the animal's head to die for wearing this belt. And it was this argument about CO2. But the point is they have to make a point that they're better. As soon as you are trying to be better, you are lacking. That's an emotional relationship. So you're encouraging and reinforcing the human condition. That behavior creates your reality. How can you be better or worse than anything else when you are incomparable? Only the mind of separation has to label you A and take its option of its own experience, put it in a counterance or a comparison mode, if you want, and say, here's the difference. You should be on this side. This is better. But it's better according to whatever the ego learned. And if that doesn't fit another person's and this person has better guns or bigger guns, then they can kill that person. And they do. Or they're cops. Cops just say, okay, I'm a cop and I really want to make sure I'm a good cop. So I'm just going to do bad stuff to make myself look good because I have no lack. Not all cops, most fucking cops, not all cops, individual basis. But this whole idea of authority, this whole idea of domination is because of lack, the emotional self that is unworthy, that doesn't know its own position in existence. We don't teach our children that you are enough. And I'm not talking about the bullshit they teach them now with positivity and reinforcement and clapping and all that shit. Not that fucking here's a badge for your life sash accomplishment shit that disappears as soon as there's not an audience that reinforces that self. It must be taught with or instilled with I am. You exist. You matter because you're here for no other reasons. It's not because you did a good job. It's not because you sold a lot of fucking cookies. It's not because you got a great grade. It's because you exist. It's because you exist. That's how you teach worthiness. And you allow that worthiness, your children, moms and dads and grandparents out there, your children to use you as a sounding board so they can play in the garden of the gods, bump their heads, scratch their knees, get hurt so they may experience the beauty of separation. But they're getting the experience of their own reflection instead of the inhibited idea of right and wrong and precautioning the idea of their own light, diminishing that light because they're not allowed because of the absolute fucking unbelievable criticisms of being wrong. You made a mistake. Again, fuck you. Just a big motherfucking elephant right up your ass, dick. Fuck you. Elephant dick right up your ass. Guys, we are better than this as a collective. That representation of that love for the self, of that worthiness, not the idea of arrogance. That's an emotion. You know, when you're just looking down at someone or you want to be in the stance and I'm ascended. How many fucking ascended people put their fucking shit out there and all these resumes? I've done this and this and this and this and this. Just because I did that, you have to like me. Look at me. That's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about accomplishment. We're talking about worthiness. I love me for no other reason except because I am all that is. I am all that is. I am. God damn, look how beautiful that is. Without I am, there's nothing, no thing. All of this, everything is gone completely. Everything collapses and everything is non-existent. No experience without I am. That's you. That's me. That's everything. That thing is worthy. So you have to look at your emotions. What am I worth today? What is my emotional input today? Am I putting this emotion into my vortex, creating that feedback, or am I putting the authenticity of me into that moment? Am I putting the authentic into that moment? The authentic is not an emotional stance. It's a knowing. It doesn't have a counterance. It doesn't need to be defended. It's a knowing. It's like, I am. You have to work at that. Masters, you have to work at that. You have to recognize it. Stop putting it outside. What the fuck are you guys doing going out and seeking all these other people that lead? We don't want leaders and we don't want followers, God damn it. We're a collective of individual singulators creating the whole experience, and each part of that is the whole experience. Each mechanism works perfectly. Each behavior works perfectly. We try to control it with what we think is balanced and try to push it over to the positive side because that's what we think it is, because we only knew positive and negative is the human condition. Okay? So you got to look at your behavior, folks. If nothing else, look at your behavior. What are you doing? What is your mind selling you? What are you fearing? How can you actually fear? I was talking with my friend BFF Vicky the other day, and we were talking about something about finally caught you. Hello, Sean or Sween Morris. Hi, Sally. And I was talking to Vic, and there's a habit, and I used to do it. I don't do it anymore. Try it one day. Try it. First, you have to notice you're doing it. And when you start noticing you're doing it, you're going to notice you're doing it. And then you're going to notice the relationship behind that behavior is emotional. Again, it's all about the emotional behavior. That's the deconstructing, going to a different part of you, a different part of you, a different part of you, a deeper, loving, I am part of you, worthiness. That's how you act. It was explanation. How the fuck do you ever need to explain anything to anybody? Go ahead, sell me the idea that you are obligated to explain. It's a mechanism, usually. I explained myself because I was wrong. I was wrong. I got in trouble, so I had to come up with a reason. We're not giving excuses anymore. Gods don't excuse themselves. Gods create. We create by nature. We're not thinking. We're creating. You got to take that delay out between thinking and hoping and needing and trying to get. And you got to pay attention to what you're doing right fucking now. You got to take that observer, kick it in the ass, turn it on, and start watching yourself. That's recognition. You got to recognize you're the one who's creating your reality. You look at it as out there, cause and effect. That's the human excuses. And then you have to excuse yourself. Oh, thank you so much, Corey. I tuned in late and I'm getting so much out of this. Booyah. Thank you for the $10 there, Corey. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. That behavior. Guys, we're gods, I promise you. And I know I will never prove to you that you are a god. I'll never do that. But I will represent something that feels so good, so beyond emotion, so exquisite, so, oh my God, I got to have more of that. And it doesn't have a future, and it doesn't have a past. It doesn't have reasons, and it doesn't have a built-in structure of outcome. What it has is an internal feeling of, I want that in me. That's what I represent. That's what you are. You have to find it yourself. That's the brutality of ascending. It is a brutal idea. It's not a positive idea. It's not a negative idea. It's a deconstruction of the self, and the experience is unique to each and every one that chooses to ascend themselves, to enlighten themselves, to recognize themselves. Audio asks, back at you. Audio Shanty asks, guys, how do you let go of the story when there is too much, to be so much fear and guilt? Oh, there seems to be too much fear and guilt. Yes. Okay, first off, I want you to look at it. Everybody pay attention. Let's look at the words. Audio, take your humility, swallow your pride right now, and listen. Be open to the vulnerability so you can see what you just did. Look at what he wrote in the chat. I'll read it again. How do you let go of the story when there seems to be so much fear and guilt? So you've just made a claim. There seems to be so much fear and so much guilt. That behavior truth was a vibrational truth that you put into your vortex. The motivation behind that statement was an emotion itself. So now we all can recognize how he just created his own human condition. So, perfect. That's not wrong. That's what you want to do. You want to get it out so you can look at it. So now let's all look at Audio's fear and guilt. So guilt is an action, a behavior that was deemed wrong by some society, some societal standards. But those societal standards exist right here because there are people that do things that are, quote, wrong that never feel guilty because their relationship with that behavior doesn't doesn't give them the experience of guilt. Would anyone feel guilty about eating an ice cream? Maybe. Most people wouldn't. Some people would. Maybe if they're overweight and they're on a diet and they sneak an ice cream, they feel guilty about it. Some people will feel guilty about stealing. Some people will feel guilty or remorse about murdering somebody because they have guilt within them. So what you need to recognize here, Audio, is that you have guilt in you. I have guilt because I did something that hurt them. It was wrong in their eyes. But that's my conditioning that says that I'm wrong and I need to be the experience because that dependency, whether it's a parent, whether it's law, whether it's the authorities, that dependency of external value over me because I'm less than, I'm not a God, and my authority leads me, my government leads me, the people with the big guns lead me, the people that have the most power and current lead me. They told me I'm wrong. Whoever I gave the authority to, pay attention, master. Now I did something wrong, so I have guilt. So the guilt isn't because you're wrong. The wrong was the interpretation leading to the experience of guilt. What you need to see, master, is that you have guilt as a truth. Because if you never downloaded the veil of guilt, the belief system of guilt, then you cannot experience it. Since it runs rampant on this earth in a collective, you coveted it as a truth because you were shown you should be guilty because this was right. You had one parent say this, one parent say that, or whatever the situation is, and they said you were wrong, and therefore you did something wrong. You hurt my feelings. That wasn't very nice. You made mommy upset. Whatever fucking excuse they're giving because of their own fucking lack, you get to accept that, and it was reinforced, and now you have guilt. Congratulations on being human. Good job. You came here to experience guilt. Okay? That's what you did. And we getting it. I got a whole lot of guilt in my life. I had anxiety running rampant through my body, afraid, brave enough to step out, do it, scared shitless, kept on going, and realized I'm enough, and that my guilt is my truth, my behavioral experience of interpretation. I did something, my behavior reacted, interpreted, and gave me the experience of guilt. So I had to look at guilt. So you do not, the next part I want to point out, Audio, you do not let go. How many times have you heard it on all the goddamn self-helps? On all the fucking shit. Oh, just let go. Let go. Huh. Yeah, I've let go of that. Let go. My asshole. Bullshit. You cannot let go of what you are. You became a human. That is what you are by the experience of the fractal. So every time you get up in the morning and you go, I'm human, I'm awake, you incorporate that entire bodysuit of truth that is surrounded and interpreted and pushed out and experienced. You are a mechanism of that incarnation because you are a God creating the incarnation. Therefore, the incarnation will be the willful, absolute reflection of your truth. And creation says, here you are that. So you get that experience. What you have to recognize is that you are that truth, and you have to say, I don't want to be that. I can't let go of it. I have to become it. I have to become it. I have to become it. That's my schools. That's what I teach. That's Transcendence, the second school. That's my guilt. I'm going to surrender to it. I'm going to absolutely give into it. I'm going to accept it as mine, and I'm going to let guilt move in to my heart. And it's going to hurt. And I want to justify it because my mind doesn't like me feeling this way, so it wants to make me feel better. My algorithm said, oh, it's okay. It's not that bad. They'll forgive you. It'll be okay. No, I don't want to listen to that fucking cunt. I'm not going to listen to that. I'm going to sit and bathe in the fibrous being of my guilt so I may become my guilt and I may know my guilt so I may forge the gestalt of I am and further my expansion of knowing the possibility of creation. And now I know intimately guilt. Now here's the trick. And you only get this on the other side of guilt. Full submersion into your guilt is what dissipates the value of guilt. Because once you know something, and I've said it before on this channel 1,000 times, once you know it, you'll never repeat it. You'll have the inability to feel guilty. Oh, you might feel a little bit less guilty as an evolution, but there will be one day it'll be impossible for you to experience guilt. It is impossible for me right now to experience fear. I do not have fears. Why? Because I deconstructed my fears. Impossible, right? Bullshit. No one knows what goes on in my mind. No one knows what goes on in your mind. So instead of trying to figure out what everyone else is doing, get busy and start looking at what's going on that creates your reality, because it's happening right there between those two temples. I have an algorithm of anxiety, angst, about the way I do things to make sure, because every action was criticized. The clothes I wore, the way I brushed my teeth when I was little, I used to hold my pinky up. That fucking pissed my dad off to high end because I drink like this. He's like, why do you have to hold your pinky up? I was like, I don't know. Well, you better explain it to me. Yeah, I need to do that, huh? See, that's what I fought from. Not to be a fucking hero, to be worthy of my own existence. I have to transcend those fears. I have to transcend those guilts. There is no medicine. There's no fucking idea of this positive affirmation thinking, let go bullshit. I have to become what I am to know what I am so I may transcend what I am. It's a masterclass. If this was so fucking easy and everything was positive, why hasn't it worked? Why hasn't it worked? Because that's not how it works. It doesn't work off of positive, negative. That's just an opinion of an emotional stance by the human. And if you keep enacting human, you get the human experience. You are not human. You're not. So you got to stop behaving human. And you've got to recognize those ideas right there, audio. I had 1,000 fears. It was just fear, and it showed itself in many different ways. But now I'm not afraid, because I'm not afraid of death. I'm not afraid of authority. I can't be. It's impossible. Hey, Holy Shift, how you doing, doll? Because there's nothing that can get me, nothing that can do it, because my mind doesn't have the programming to do that. Whatever comes at me in my now, I'm 100% in resonance with it. I'm aligned with my reality. I live that now. Whatever it is, I have everything that understands that moment. Because I took all the shit down that says it wasn't. It's this, it's that. It's who, when, why, and what, and reasons. It's an explanation, cause and effect, all that crap that human just dissects their reality with and entertains themselves through. It's not wrong to be a human. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that you have an opportunity to deconstruct the human, but you have to get busy. And I say it in many different ways on this channel. And right now I'm saying it this way. Look at your behavior. Do you have a tendency to keep doing the same things? You have a thought in your mind and you want to do it so bad and it feels so right, but your mind also says something else. And then you're like, and someone else says, well, what about? And you go, nah. But that means you might lose your family. That's what your fear says. That means you might lose your job. That's what your fear says. That means that someone might not like. That's what your fear says. And then you listen to your fear and then you take your light and you darken it. I can't be bright. I'm not allowed to shine. Yes, you are. But I can't do it for you. I can represent. That's all I can do. That's all I can do. That's what you do. Hello, Virgo. Hi, darling. So what I want to say is I represent. So I'm not looking to represent anything particular. I don't have a posture, obviously. I am raw. I am myself. That's the way I understand and learn myself. I learn the parts that are human. I learn the parts that are my natural persona, my God self. And I enact my God self. I bring that self to the table more and more, and I let it work out. And I don't care how it looks to human, because I'm not here for the human collective. I'm here to ascend, enlighten myself. And so are you. That representation is all you need to give. And how you are authentic to yourself is what represents the highest light possible. The love, the highest act of love is loving yourself, choosing yourself. You can't go beyond that, because this is the all. You must love the one that loves the all. Come on, guys, think about it. Anyways, so I think I've gone on about 40 minutes? Oh yeah, 42 minutes, not too bad. So if there are no questions about behavior, but it was a great question, audio. Hey, Nay. About that. It's transcendence. Okay? It's transcendence. It's the schools. It's everything I've learned. I live a life of absolute freedom. I live a life that doesn't have fears or hopes or needs or wants or desires. If I have those that come up, I just finding a deeper part of myself. I took that work from the last 10 years and I wrote the schools on them. And there's 4 schools, and now I'm working on the next 4 schools. They work, but they don't work as a program of external, like college. You go and you get to do the work, you turn it in, you get graded. It's not that. It's you. Here's the tools to find yourself. Go within to find it, and here's how you can do it. You have to recognize, you have to transcend, you have to discern the vibrations, you have to learn to understand creation through vibrational feeling instead of reactive thinking, and then you have to release the God and give her a chance to breathe. That's persona development. That's how it is. Next school start in January. In between, devour my channel, 800 videos or whatever it is. And there's a lot of information for you guys to understand if you're interested in. If you're interested in human or bullshitting yourself about what about this because your emotions goes, oh, buck, 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 oh, that, look at that squirrel. Oh, there's a shiny thing. And you just keep running around to these emotional outputs. And your whole life, and 10 years later, you're the same person, then booyah, have your journey. But this is just an opportunity, because you're here because there's an opportunity of change. So you have to look at that change within you and make it within you. That's what this represents. So I think I'm gonna go for a drive tonight. Go drive around 1604 or something here in San Antonio. 0-0 update on the Pittsburgh and Las Vegas game, just in case anyone wants to know. All right, guys, I'm going to skip the light fandango. If I don't see you sometime this week as a pop-up, I've been really busy with Venusia, the next book. I've kind of increased my writing on that, so I'm kind of focused on that, trying to see if I can finish by the end of the year. And you're welcome, Robin. And that's the next book. So maybe I'll do a pop up this week if something hits me. If not, we'll see you next Sunday. I love you guys. Again, Corey, thank you so much for the super chat, $10. And if you guys like what you see, please like. And if you'd like to subscribe, go ahead. And of course, there's a link to my website. There's a donation button if you care to donate. And anything else you want, contact me. It's right there. All right, everyone, go rock your reality. You're welcome, Audio. Thank you all. I love you. See you on the next now. Bye, everyone.